world. So why don't we change it within ourselves? What is stopping humanity to step in our power in soul, and don't choose to fall into forgetting, in judgment, in the victim, in the okay, the world is it's a perpetrator. Let's blame patriarchy. Let's blame the people that eat meat. Let's blame the people that is trafficking with children. Let's blame the system, but it's outside. It's outside. It's outside, and that's one of the parts of the humanity that has been forgetting, and it's kind of an addicting pattern. It's a keep addicting pattern of keep reliving and revisiting the separation, the wound. When I was in my stage or in my process, when I was in my path, when I was forgetting, when I used to forget, and then I used to step in love, and then just I stopped into forget, and then I realized, okay, when I go hello, when I used to go and forget, go out and connect unintentionally with people, connect with the forgetfulness, drink, partying, use drugs, put myself in risk, put myself others in risk, um, fight, and then I will feel the pain that was feeling that, and then the anger, the frustration, the suffering, and then I will go back to love, and then in love I will remember and I feel good, and then I will step out of love, and I forget it. So I realized that it was a pattern, and there's a point in our process that is okay. I got it. I've been jumping from light to darkness, from light to darkness, to light to darkness. It's been fun because it's been fun. It has served a purpose, and it's have served a whole like the purpose of me for me understanding the subtleties and the contrast and the um, gradient around the polars. But um, I'm enough. I'm tired. It's taking me energy. It's taking my energy. It's taking my away my peace. It's taking away. I understand it. I am now. I understand that I'm no. I now I'm love, and I'm ready to step in and to be present and to choose my highest good. And then this keeps perpetrating. It's as micro macro, as within is without, as without is within, in this micro macro scale. So this is still happening in the collective. Humanity is still addicted to the darkness. It needs to, in a way, it needs darkness, so it has a justification to go back to love, and then to forget again, and then to. But if we want to change the world, we have to step in what we truly we are, and what we truly believe it is the best for our relationships and the highest good of our whole humanity, and actually do the work. But the thing is, like, it's I understand that the triggers, the actual thing that people is being killed, kids has been being killed for trafficking their organs, for trafficking their blood, for keeping alive a lit and people. I know it's painful to see, and that's why it's so resistant. And but like, what I will ask is, what is the resistance so much for not to take ownership and say, okay, I'm gonna uh, take responsibility of the perpetrator within myself. When all this thing of George Floyd happened, it was very clear to me. We needed to do collectively shadow work and love the perpetrators. And I repeat it over and over again through my stories. Yes. And to love the perpetrator, to do the shadow work, because that is just the outside reality is just a reflection of how we live within ourselves. How do we have ourselves having unjust with each other? how and accept it and accepting, be radical, radical, honest, and radical, um, like honest and vulnerable to say yes, I have been falling in the perpetrator game by judging, by not trusting, by falling into gossip, by falling into drama, and like for taking sides, or and in many ways. So this is just an invitation for us, for all of you guys. Thank you for joining. Is this like I'm creating this container tomorrow for world inner peace and world peace. And the only way that we are gonna achieve world peace, the only way is through inner peace. The solution is never at the level of the problem. The solution is always love, which is above all problems. We're not gonna be able to shift the reality of this planet, of this humanity, by fighting, by throwing anger, by throwing destruction. I'm not talking about just like riots, but it needs to be an inner battle. It needs to be an inner revolution where we get all together and be able to stand in stillness. The action of no action. This Taoist term for not doing and being prepared for when the moment is adequate. We all gonna have this moment, and we better be prepared. But we need to stay still, and by that, for that moment, that we all have to be ready, and we already have to be embodiment of peace agents. There's no as I said, the solution is never at the level of the problem. The solution is always love. So tomorrow I'm gonna be creating this container to deliver and share with all of you a practice, a gift from this heart to your heart, for your practice, for your highest good. And it's not just for your highest good, because I know this is bigger than us. But we need to take responsibility and take accountability for this world that we want to change. We're never gonna be changing the world by posting and keep repeating the same story. Like, we posting from hate and anger and frustration, and we are sharing information from that place that just keeps feeding the perpetrator game and the victim game. Is like, I'm gonna share this because motherfucker system, I wanna change it. No, like, we share from another experience. You know, the people that is informed, it's already informed. Those people that are, hola Hortensia, those people, as all of us that are watching, and if we are awoke, and if we are realized, and we realize what is happening, and we have made the research, those people that we want to wake up by putting in their face the informations, they're not gonna want to see it, because that's not the way it goes. They're gonna back up more, because they're gonna say like, these angry people, or like these conspiracy theorists, and they are not ready. Those people that are ready to see the information, they're gonna make the research, and they will find it, because the information is out there. No one can hide it. So, for example, also when in the medicine, in the traditional. So tomorrow I'm gonna be sharing this a beautiful practice. This practice has opened me portals to other dimensions, literally. Like, through this practice that a brother and I channeled together, I was able to contact Master Jesus Christ. This was 6-7 years ago, when some attacks happened in Paris, and in Mexico there were happening also some things. the killing of some students. And we decided to do a channel of meditation work for inner peace. This from the moment that we created that, this has transformed, and I anchor and develop and refine the practice and the tool that I'm gonna share tomorrow. But like, we created a world peace and inner peace praying meditation every Monday. We will gather in Mexico City, and as a group, and just welcome and hold space for people that wanted to come and pray for inner peace and do it's kind of it has shadow work, it has reconciliation, it has connection with the divine love, connection with the higher understanding. But and there was one point that I got into so much reconciliation with myself, with what I have done in my past, in my timeline, with like all the judgment and the anger that I inflicted and the mistakes I did, and it create like, it just put me into, and all the mistakes and everything that I have done, and create this opportunity to just letting out to the divine. But got me into this point of realization that I was okay. One day it was like, okay, let me see what else I'm gonna reconciliate with. I came totally reconciliated that Monday. Like, it was like, wow, I don't know what I'm gonna pray for, or like, I do the shadow work. Yes, resentment and the conflict, yeah. So because that's just it's a hermetic principle. When you put some energy, you're gonna receive that energy resonance. But and I was like meditating, like, okay, I already did reconcile with all these relationships, all these people in my family, all my friends, all that, all the things. And then I got it, and it's sad, and it was like, wow, Jesus Christ, sorry, because I was, well, Mexican people is kind of the cultural is Catholicism. I wasn't raised as a Catholic, but my mother asked me always to question everything. But I realized I was an atheist for a big part of my time, then agnostic. But then when I was an atheist, I was creating this judgment towards the church, because I realized what the church was standing for. And that's why I didn't embrace Jesus' teachings, the Christ teachings, because they were coming from the church. So I realized, wow, Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, because through the judgment of the church that I had, I was judging you indirectly, and I was disconnecting myself from the teachings and the love that you came here to share. So I'm sorry. In that moment, Jesus appeared into my meditation. It said, like, I don't care, I love you. And it hugged me in a really beautiful, magnificent pink. You see my pink? Why I use pink is because that hug happened. That encounter, that reunification with the Christ consciousness happened. It just came in front of me, said, like, I don't care, I love you, and hugged me, and I felt all the immensity of that love. I'm just like having like shivers right now, just talking about, because it covered me with all His love, and all the love that Christ consciousness represents, and all the love that it's holding for humanity. And it's like, and then, like, it was beautiful, it was powerful, it was, in a way, it was, wow, this is so much love. What, like, it was like, and since then, that's why I dressed with this pink, because that was the color, and it was like, and that's when I was initiated as with Christ consciousness frequency. So tomorrow I'm gonna teach this medicine. This gonna teach you this tool, and I mean, I normally have at least 5 people minimum from these class meditations, because I'm all for service. My life is for service the divine. Okay, and like I have my private sessions. I have my ceremonies, the ceremonies that I hold, the plant medicine ceremonies, the ayahuasca, the bufo varios, the cambo, and I also have my private sessions. But I also want to give people some, and that's why I do these lives, and that's why. But I want to give some free content to people so they can work, because this needs to be this love, this in these activations. I'm an activator. How I call it. Uh, I need to be shared. Like a lot of people said to me, like, why you vibrate so high? Why you radiate so much love? Why you're so joyful and happy all the time? Because I have done the inner work. I have done a lot of. I have devoted my life into digging deep and shedding the limiting belief systems, the programs of separation, of lack. So and I want, and I know that we don't have so much time as a humanity, as that we need to make the shift. So yeah, but this, like every time that I do world peace, I mention world peace, there's a kind of like resistance into the field to receiving this medicine. I say like quantum meditation and people jump, but then I say inner peace and people flake, and I don't understand why is it. I'm as I said in the beginning of the video, I'm realizing there's still in the collective there's an addiction for the darkness, and then an addiction. It's an conscious collective, unconscious collective addiction to the darkness. That's why people keep falling into the victim trap, keep posting and keep expressing themselves with anger, shame, guilt. That's why if you're a plant-based, like just the term vegan, for example, just the term vegan already have a connotation of guilt. I don't know if you're aware of it or if you feel it, but when someone says I'm vegan, it's like, and it's like I feel the guilt or the shame, or like it's inflicting that. So now it's plant-based, but okay. But how, like, for example, people express about animals and people that really want to wake. People want, obviously, when we rise our frequency and we realize we want our all loved ones and everybody to change their. That's what I'm doing. What I'm doing, I guess. but yeah, I mean, there's ways. So there's like the activism, the vegan activism that. The vegan activism that post and share stories of how they slaughter and perpetrate with the lives of the. If you have any questions of how to deal and how to process all these things, write them down. I'm able to reply. But how they do these things in the meat industry and how they keep putting killing animals. But that's just like the guilt, the shame, the anger, the frustration, the sadness, and it's like this load of, it's so much density in those. Even though like it's full of truth, it's like, what do we do? No? And like with this the child trafficking situation. I mean, I realized when this, I don't. I was like doing a little live and mentioned this, like in the 1994, I remember I was like 6 years old, and there was this video in MTV of a song called "Runaway Train." Oh, and I don't know if you know the song, but the video is shocking. And basically, the video is exposing the child trafficking and is exposing how they steal the children and use them for pornography and rape and stuff like that. but I was watching this video and I was like, whoa! I was 6 years old, you know, like I watched it because I since very early age I liked music and I explore a lot of my music. Um, but my soul, when I knew it, that all this video was made and sharing some truth and some dark truth, and that was back in the 1994. So since then I always knew, like I was always aware, I was always questioning things, like I was a very curious child, and also that got me into a lot of trouble. But um, so how we're gonna deal with all this, because I know it's like hard truths, like there's evil there, and how like um, and only through unconditional love and tapping into that oneness, that God, if you want to call it, that creator that created everything, created good and bad. This is just a contrast. We get to be in this 3D planet. The understanding comes from this as well, that we came to here to this planet of contrast. It's a beautiful garden, but also has like its roughness, and always live within ourselves. So we just need to make when as we work within ourselves with inner peace and we make reconciliation with that evil part, that radiance and that frequency gets expanded into our relationships, into our family, into our friends, into our partners, or whatever. And that is felt. And even if you don't need information to share to wake them up. You just need that anchoring, that frequency for yourself. So make the change in your field. You don't need to share any information, because you will, through processing, crystallizing those. That's where is the peaceful. Well, I don't call myself a warrior. Like people sometimes say, like, "Oh, you're a light warrior," and I don't call myself a warrior. There's no wars where I am. It's just peace, and I encourage to change the paradigm, because that's also part of like one of the programs of spirituality that has kept the spiritual ascension process into stopping, because there's no warriors, because there's no wars. We are, I call myself an agent. Peace agent, yes. Light agent, yeah. Light worker, okay. But yeah, so it's like, for example, when I also see this separation and this guilt is when well, in my experience, and the whole community, medicine community, when we talk about the colonialism. So also I will invite yourself, decolonize your mind. You want to like there's a lot of people showing shade, throwing guilt, throwing for our ancestors. And I mean, I'm Mexicano, and I have Mexica and Mayan blood, but also I have my European blood. You know, I have my European ancestors, but it doesn't really matter. But it's like when people express about when the Europeans came into the Americas and they colonized, and like they took our land. It's like, bro, it's not it was not, they didn't do that to you. They did that to our ancestors. But now we live in a totally different planet. This needed to happen. This was part of the plan. This is a master plan that has been created. This was part of the plan, and take ourselves out of that guilt and get free from that guilt and that shame and because that was just part of the plan. Get it? No, like so when it comes like the October, like Christopher Columbus Day, I don't know how you call it in the United States, but we call it Dia de la Raza, the Race Day. which is like a different approach from the United States and Canada, because we call it the race day. So we honor race. Um, but yeah, if you know how I forgot the name of this, but so yeah, it's like fuck Christopher Columbus, like fuck everything that they did, like Thanksgiving, fuck them, fuck like, and it's like, and there are spiritual woke up people that want to change the world. I know, I understand, but they are keep perpetrating again the guilt, the shame. It's like, it's just like it's an addiction. It's kind of an addiction to fall into shame and guilt. Understand that everything was part of a plan, and everything still is part of a plan. There's a master plan. We don't have control of it. By only tapping into the inner control and the control the things that we can control from ourselves, which is our inner world and how we perceive the world outside, then we can make the shift of the reality that we live in the outside, right? So, and we are able to make a more effective, a more present, and more active work of service, of prayer, of justice, of balance, of integrity, of impeccability, of transparency. For example, I was back in the day, I was into the protest because I grew up very resented. I grew up very curious. I realized the difference, the contrast. I realized the injustice, the unbalance in when I was a child, I didn't understand human nature. Like I really literally was not able to understand what is these humans are doing this. Why do they behave like that? Why? It was weird. But that created that, and my current life situation that I live, and I grew up with my father was totally absent, so I didn't have this father. I'm an only child, so I didn't have sisters, brothers. My mother was also like absent because she had to work all day. So I grew up with a lot of resentment towards life, and it's like, why I came here to experience this life? Why did I have to come and experience all this separation, like all these traumas and all this? And I could see the separation in the school. I could see the separation and the perpetration of that. So I grew up with it like a sense of justice. I'm a Libra too, so I'm a sense of justice and balance and doing things with integrity and doing the things right. So that put me into a position of like being an activist and a protest, and like protesting for the environment, protesting for the human rights, protesting for saving the lives of students, and protesting for justice, like in Mexico, that there's like one of the wounds of Mexico is this social injustice that has been that the collective it has to go through. But so yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna be sharing this tool for bringing inner peace to that. So yeah, I was actively out in the streets whenever there was a protest. There was something to proclaim or reclaim or whatever you want to call it. And then I got into many situations that I had to, and I experienced police brutality, and not only for protesting, just for being. Sometimes I shoot like several times, like 4 times. I was walking on the street doing my own business, and it's tomorrow at 10 a.m. in Pacific time. You can send me a DM and I will send you the link. It's a free tool, it's a free container I'm creating, and you can ask me for it. And obviously, donations are welcome, but they are not mandatory, they're not necessary. But yeah, because I radiate this curiosity and this resistance, I guess, and I understood it into a point, because I will get stood up by, like I will get confronted by police just because I was wearing this, and they will say like, "Oh, why you look so rebel?" And it's like I would say like, "Why not?" And then that will cause them to beat me up. And literally, like one day I was just cycling one night, going back to my home, and a police car just went in on the side with me, and it's like, "Hey, what's up? Like stop!" And it's like, "Why? I'm just cycling. I was not literally going back home." And it's like, "You stop or we fuck you up over." And it's like, "No." And just kept that. I mean, that also was like the trigger to them. They start chasing me in the freaking streets. So I had to like deal with a lot of this myself. So every time that there was an opportunity for me to express and express my voice, and which was in a place of anger, in the place that I see a lot of people is right now, and like all these plays from the protest and all these things, and how we post and how I've been seeing that people shares from all the deep state, from all the vaccinations, from all the quarantine. We know like all this. So people say like, yeah, people needs to be heard, and people needs to be think needs to be heard. Yeah, into some point, but this is not gonna be changing anything. I was doing a protest, and then I got the clear vision. It's like, whoa, what if we, instead of, because what is a demonstration? Basically, it's like other group of people that is angry. It's energy. You see it just as energy. I think I'm gonna change places because it's getting a little bit darker. But see it as energy. You know, like everything is energy, everything is frequency. So imagine that you are this group of people with a lot of energy, with a lot of energy to share, gets together and they start walking on the streets, right? So it's a line of people walking, demonstrating, expressing, shouting. It's still let's go by frequencies and like different different of energies, with the energy of masculine energy and the energy of feminine energy. We're shifting the paradigm, right? We are receiving and activating ourselves and receiving more the divine feminine wisdom, right? So what is the feminine energy? What is the masculine energy? You know, white bodies of man are so linear, and white bodies of women are so curved. So you get it? So line, people walking from point A to point B in a line. Angry people walking from A to B in a line. It's a masculine energy. Angry will be the representation of patriarchy, of how the patriarchy is still playing. Even though that we are fighting the patriarchy, there's patriarchy there. It doesn't mean to be female or male. It's patriarchy program that we all being indoctrinated and we all being programmed, and I understand that. So normally in most of all demonstrations, when the demonstration starts happening, starts in order, finishes, and it'll get lost in chaos, in riots and police beating people and taking and arrests and all that stuff. The whole point of the demonstration, what was the point of the demonstration? Where all this energy went? Where the potential of that energy collapsed and destroyed itself because it was not able to sustain itself. So imagine if we all gather, instead of like these thousands of people in a line, we get to sit down in a square or streets. And that was the vision I had. and create and sit down in circles. That has been, and actually that's been one of the things that I've been really wanting to do, and like I will be such honored to do that. And I've been trying to connect with like all the protesters, but whenever I get close, they're so angry that it's like, no, they are not ready. But instead of walking, sitting down in a circle or in a spiral, in many spirals or one big spiral, and getting to meditate and do this practice that I'm gonna share with you tomorrow. Because with that, you alchemize, you transmute, alchemize, crystallize, and shift the perspective. So all these angry people will be agents of peace, serving at all this energy that is contained with themselves. It's able to serve a purpose to shifting. You believe in portals, creating portals, ripple effects, intentional spaces. That will be just for me. Like it's just like that vision, like will be the shift that actually could the create in the field will be powerful, because we will be able to shift that thing that we are being protesting into something positive. And there will be no reasons why we will be satanized or like judged, because no one will be destroying things, or there will be not infiltrators, because there's always in these protests, in all protests, there's always infiltrators, you know, like. And so yeah, this tool, it's a very important, I do it, and I get to do it every week, because this world itself is triggering. When I say we work with the triggers, and like I have a client that was like, we've been working through the resistance in the triggers, but one thing is like not wanting to see the trigger and say like, well, I know that if that bothers me, I just need to ignore it, and that's story of that's the end of the story. But no, the actual power comes when you are able to stand in front of your trigger and don't feel the need to protect yourself, and don't need to feel the need to run from it or react to it, because you're standing in presence in soul in understanding, in compassion, in you will be able to laugh, and not laugh but like smile to that trigger, to that situation, and just embrace it with love, and being able to not like, you don't need to hide or show and react. So there's a difference, because like the more we able to see the triggers, and we able to like, because a lot of people is that, but like for example, when you and I get to do that, and I experience that a lot, because when you raise your frequency and in such deep levels, there's people that is not gonna resonate with you, you know, like. But that's also the medicine. It's the solution is never a better problem. When two people resonate with each other, why don't we resonate? Why don't we resonate people? There's people that we resonate, and one people that not resonate, because they are medicine for each other, you know. So the medicine is being able to stand and hug, and it's just the solution is just one hug at just one hug at distance from the person that is being triggering you, or you're being triggered for them. But if it's like, oh no, I don't resonate with that person, I don't like it. Why you don't like it? I just don't know, but I don't like it. But like, if your essence, if we all essence, and essence is unconditional love, why don't we not like other people? Because they have teachings for us, because they have like a lesson to give us, and our ego, or what we think we are, is resisting that lesson. There's times that we are able to take the lesson and receive the lesson and take the medicine and use the medicine, but there's times that we are not able to, and that's fine. We don't have to force ourselves, but that's a bit of like the understanding. I just want to give that understanding that whenever someone doesn't like you, or you don't like them, It's because there's medicine behind to be understood. Is you are the medicine, you are the medicine, or they are your medicine. And the medicine is just a distance, a hug of away from each other. It's just a matter of hugging and really seeing each other and feeling each other. Maybe the lesson was compassion, or maybe the lesson was forgiveness, or maybe, and if we will just be so dedicated to that inner work and that peace and that highest good of all, that it's like, okay, I've been able to do it sometimes. When I feel like there's a person that doesn't resonate, I will go and I do contact, and I try to connect, and I connect, and then I understand that sometimes people is not ready, and it's fine. But at least we tried, and at least we build the bridge. We don't just stay with the limited perception of the separation that separation brings. But being able to be standing and that's just because basically it's just when you're standing in your in front of your trigger, it's just standing in front of your fear. What it caused you fear is just ignorance. Ignorance is just the things that you don't know. So and when you understand that, it's okay, I will able to stand more with more compassion, more understanding, holding more the frequency of unconditional love, and being able to be showing up for this. And okay, what is the lesson? Always trying to show up, always try to show up, always try to give that extra bit of your heart to the outside. So tomorrow I'm gonna be sharing this medicine with this tool, which is when you get to this tool, that when you get into when you get to use it frequently, you will feel totally reconciliated with yourself, with the things that you've done, with the chapters that you didn't accept of yourself, the things that you need to close, and also with the relationships. And it's gonna be for free, and I bet it's tomorrow at 8 a.m. for those that have been jumping in. But yeah, there's a post even that I made in my timeline, in my stories as well. And if you have any questions, also Q&A will be nice. I love questions, but the solution is never at the level of a problem. The solution is always love, which is above all problems. And it's all this, and also this practice helps you to dissolve and crystallize and let go all the energetic blockages and the density that you might be carrying from past events or angers and grudges. But those energies get stored in your body, in your physical body. So you might be storing energies in your liver or in your vesicula, for example, from grudges and anger. Or you might be holding fears in your for example, the kidneys hold resentments and treason. Vesicula, stomach. So yeah, all these things that we are not processed, they come back to us. All the things that we don't want to see and acknowledge and embrace and transmute and crystallize, they come back to us, and they give us severe health problems. Because if you all health problems, all diseases are caused by emotional and psychological unconscious things that we haven't been able to process and reconcile with. So there might be things that have been coming from past generations, or from the ancestors and the lineage. So for example, with this practice, you'll also be able to work, because when we work ourselves, we work with the seven generation. When we know that we are healing ourselves, and we know that we have to heal the seven generations before of us. These are archetypes, these are architectures that are real. So they are carrying seven generations of people, of generations behind of us. We are carrying all these parts, and we are responsible for the seven generations. That's why when I serve with medicines and ceremonies, I always open the space with the seven directions, because it's not four directions as we were told. There are seven. It's below, center of above, below representing the mother, center representing us, above representing the father, north representing the mother's mother, south the mother's father, the mother's mother, east and west the father's father and father's mother. And these are representations. So when we are working in these sacred seven directions, we are connecting with all our ancestors and their ancestors. So I guide processes into people of private sessions or private ceremonies as well, to heal the lineage. But to get to that point, we need to get to a level of healing and awareness of ourselves, because we can't work for others if we haven't been able to work with ourselves, right? So, but yeah, that's in, and clearing the lineage, bringing peace to the ancestors, and let them rest in peace, so we can also walk in freedom, and we can walk with a free path. It's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. The post is in my it's a little cute video that I made in my stories as well. There's a countdown as well, but it's gonna be through Zoom, so you need to ask me for the link. So yeah, it's important to do all this work, because codependency. Well, I mean, the codependency, it's there's always needs to be a codependency. It's an addictive relationship. It's needed to feel validated by others, but through invalidation. So basically, that's the cycle of this little toe there. The cycle of on the. So yeah, I mean, for like there's needs two for tango, you know, like it's always needs two for tango. So the person that is dependent from another person that might be hurting, so like they're both playing each other's roles, but I don't like, we need to see more like about letting go, because I'm this video is more about inner peace. So if you have any questions about inner peace, because I'm following a line of this video, so yeah. But yeah, basically like just realizing what you're being addicting to it, and let that addiction go. That addiction just might be trying to feel in a need of love within yourself. So in which areas you haven't been able to feel validated from yourself, so the others validate you. So yeah. So when we work in healing with ourselves, and we are carrying all these seven generations, and we're able to heal them, and with this practice you're able to assist that healing for all your lineage and all your family. So it's a practice that, I mean, it's a practice. It's tapping into a frequency, it's tapping into a portal in a way, and yeah. It's deep shadow work as well, because we're gonna do deep shadow work, next level shadow work, because there's one shadow work that serves for self, for my healing. There's a shadow work that serves for the healing of my lineage and my family. That's what I'm doing. Like back on track. That's what I mentioned about the seven directions, or the sacred seven. And there's this shadow work that serves for humanity. So this shadow work that serves for humanity is like, it's like deep shadow work that is okay. Now we're gonna work with the children being killed and bombed in the Middle East. Why don't we talk about that? Well, like it's just about trends, but sometimes human experience tends to forget a lot of things that have happened before and still happening. But so things that have like for humanity, like shadow work, there's shadow work that works for self, shadow work that serves for my lineage, and there's shadow work that serves for humanity. So the shadow work that serves for humanity is for those aspects of humanity that are bigger than ourselves. Hello. So it's bigger, and it's, hello, beautiful soul, you. Thank you. It's bigger than ourselves, and that we yet are barely to be able to understand, like what the child trafficking, how the racism, what the wars, what the slaughtering of animals, what else. There's many aspects of world peace that we need to attend that are bigger than us. You know, like so these things is like, okay, taking responsibility of those things that are so far away that from my experience and my reality, but they're still part of my experience and my reality because they are still happening in the world. So as long as we don't transmute, alchemize, and crystallize these perpetrators within ourselves, and understand that the moment that this brings you into more coherent, more resonant space of oneness, of unified consciousness and unity consciousness, and not polarized consciousness. That the next paradigm, if FYI, is unity consciousness. So being able to be in a neutral space is not about fighting or throwing shade or throwing shame and guilt and feeling the pain. I mean, we are humans, and we get to know through our emotions and through feeling. But there's a point that as more we work within ourselves, the more impermanent we become, and the more neutral we become, and the more neutral we become, and the less need of protest and complain about the world, knowing that this is just part of the master plan, and we get to experience a timeline. And in this density world, we live and experience time and the evolution in a slower process, but we are visionaries, so that's why we see ourselves in the other side. So that's how the root of pain is caused by the timeline linear version of the perspective that is putting ourselves in the other side, because we already know that what we are, what we deserve as humanity, but we don't get to understand that it's a process. So when we get into being peace with the process, we understand that it's part of the plan. It's part of that divinity, because everything came from God. We are all extensions of it. So I have 1 minute remaining. Thank you all for the joining. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Send me a link. Send me a DM for the link. And I hope you have a beautiful night, and love you. And Chloe, if you want to go about the codependency and work, and work diving deep into that, we can do that, you know? I love you all. Have a beautiful night. Restful dreams, whatever you are. Thank you. Ciao, bellos.